In hip-hop, rappers get sued all the time, whether it's over leaking your enemy's baby mother's sex tape, impersonating a big-time magazine for album promo, or even being sued by their own mother for disrespecting her on a platinum album. Oftentimes, rappers act out and operate above the law, thinking that they're invincible to consequences. However, that is not the case. Today we dive into 7 of the craziest reasons why rappers were sued, starting with 50 Cent. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson has been no stranger to controversy or ever backing down while enduring any beef in his lifetime. From surviving being shot 9 times in the gritty streets of Southside Jamaica, Queens, 50 fears nobody, and he made it known with his early stint in the music industry when he released How to Rob. Now, How to Rob shook up the music industry as a satirical and humorous song. 50 took jabs at Jay-Z, Big Pun, Diddy, Master P, and Will Smith, and the song was tenacious and had that wow factor. After years of beefing with Ja Rule, then later Fat Joe, 50 seemingly found a new match when he started beefing with the Miami rapper Rick Ross. The beef with Ross started originally when they saw each other at the 2008 BET Awards, and Ross felt that 50 was sizing him up and grilling him.
He a nigga that I actually seen at the BET Awards, and when I went backstage and I bumped into him, he made an expression on his face that kind of disappointed me being a real nigga. So, I gave him a pass, and we just kept it moving, you understand? But at the same token, it was just time to let niggas know what the real was.
It's easy to see if you look at me, and if you look closely, 50 don't back down. In 2009, Ross solidified the beef by dropping Mafia Music, a diss track insinuating that 50 burned down his baby mother's house and is broke. 50 Cent not backing down released Officer Ricky, which destroyed Ross's fake status as a drug dealer and exposing him for his past as a correctional officer in jail. In hip-hop, street credit means everything, and 50 stripped him of his most valuable and honorable badge of being authentic, which he wasn't. While in Ross's music, he glamorized himself on the level of Big Meech and Freeway Ricky, 2 hardcore dealers in the 80s and the 2000s, Ross was an actual fraud who didn't live that life and still denies despite there being photo evidence. 50 went in on Rick Ross, creating a cartoon series of him as an inmate, and took it to a new height when he lived with Ross's baby mother and was seen with Ross's children taking photos. 50 created this alter ego of Pimpin' Curly, which was him in a wig just clowning Officer Ricky for his past. 50 truly honed in the crown as New York City's own bad guy when he leaked the X-rated tape of Ross's other baby mother, LaSonia Leviston, to the internet during their feud. He would do voiceovers of these sexual acts and simply just make a mockery. Now 50 Cent has mastered the art of war and 48 Laws of Power, and showed time and time again he would do anything to destroy Ross or anybody connected to him of their pride and dignity. The victory over Rick Ross will come at a heavy price, as Ross's baby mother Leviston would file a $5 million lawsuit against him, claiming that the leak of this tape caused her emotional distress and was an invasion of privacy. Now 5 years later, in July of 2015, 50 lost a lawsuit and was ordered to pay Leviston $5 million and another $5 million in punitive damages. The hefty loss of $7 million forced the Queens-based rapper to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now Chapter 11 and Chapter 7 bankruptcies are 2 of the most common. Chapter 11, which what 50 had to do, was reorganization of your assets, allowing you to repay some of your debt while retaining some of your assets. Although 50 was deemed broke in court, he seemed to recover quickly. In 2014, 50 Cent was awarded $50 million from a malpractice lawsuit that he had involving Headphone brand. Now, although 50 Cent lost a legal battle with Rick Ross's baby mother, he won the war in the court of public perception and respect in the streets. After years of multiple platinum albums that increased hip-hop's competitive edge, 50 would move on to executively produce hit TV shows in the Power universe and some of the best TV that the black community had ever seen. Talking about 50 Cent without mentioning Eminem is nearly impossible. Eminem had a rough upbringing growing up in Detroit in a trailer park, and in his later years, he began his battle rapping career and endured much hate for trying to excel in a predominantly black culture. M would later be labeled as the black hockey player, because he was a white boy that would dominate in a black culture. M was white, but his music was edgy. The personal struggles that he endured, such as drug abuse, also led to very controversial lyrics that led to lawsuits. Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine would sign Eminem after hearing the Slim Shady EP in 1998. M was signed to Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment, which is under Interscope Records, and a year later would release the Slim Shady LP, which launched him to mainstream success. Everything was rolling smooth until out of the blue, he was sued for a whopping $10 million. Now, nobody thought that the person that would attempt to halt his career would be his own mother, Debbie Mathers. Now, it all started with his infamous song, My Name Is, in where he detailed his mother's extensive cocaine abuse that she has been on a never-ending relapse cycle. Despite him publicly airing her laundry to the media, him and his mom would try to reconcile. However, it never really happened, and Eminem would release another song, cleaning out my closet, speaking on the whole situation, going through his mother's belongings and finding drugs, and living in trailer parks and poor public housing. Now, the lawsuit was resolved in 2001, and Debbie Mathers won $25,000, but she could only retain $1,600 because the rest went to legal fees. Dr. Dre is responsible for decades of talent coming out of the West Coast, Kendrick Lamar being the most recent. Kendrick is well known for his immaculate storytelling as a conscious individual. He was originally J-Rock's hype man, but soon after getting a spotlight from the inception of Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, he became a star. Now, although Kendrick Lamar was known for his exceptional lyricism, he wasn't by any means a street figure, but he would find himself in a $15,000 lawsuit over scamming a Montreal artist, Jonathan Emile, out of a feature. In 2015, the Canadian rapper released Heaven Help Them, which contained a 2011 verse from Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick was just entering his prime, and it seems like he didn't want someone from years back who paid yesterday's price to be attached to his current success. It all started in November of 2011, when Jonathan saw that Kendrick Lamar was slowly on the rise and approached his management with a deal to collaborate. Kendrick agreed, and Jonathan paid him 2 installments of $7,500, and he received the finished song in early 2012 from TDE, Kendrick Lamar's label. However, shortly after, they gave him the cold shoulder and stopped replying to his calls and emails, and even refused to give him acapellas and other styles of the recording. The song was a tribute to the Black Lives Matter protest that was going on after Mike Brown, Eric Garner, and Akai Gurley was viciously killed by police. When a cop dies, we're all mortified, but when a cop kills, he don't need no alibi. After being ghosted by Kendrick Lamar's team, Jonathan released a song, and shortly after received a confrontational call from Anthony Top Dog Tiffith, Kendrick Lamar's label owner. Now, during the call, Top Dog threatened that Interscope and UMG would take down the song, and also let them know that he was burning his bridges with TDE and that it was going to be bad for business. Now, Jonathan refused Top Dog's strong-arming tactics, and immediately after the call, the song was copyrighted by UMG and Interscope on YouTube and SoundCloud. People were saying I stole the verse from an old Kendrick song. Not true. And all sorts of other libel against me, and I was genuinely hurt. Now, with the bullying, intimidation, and exploitation Emile faced, it forced him to file a lawsuit and attempt to recoup the money that he lost on the feature. With no song available on streaming platforms, and his name being publicly slandered relentlessly online, Emile decided to sue them as this was his only and best option. Now, Emile went to small claims court, and since TDE failed to show up, he was awarded $6,400 USD and almost got back half of his money. This situation opened his eyes to the lopsided power dynamic independent artists faced when they won't comply to the demands of the major labels who were in the wrong. Drake and 21 Savage attempted to pull off one of the most elaborate marketing schemes that we had ever seen. Drake is arguably the biggest hip-hop star in the last decade, and depending on who you may ask, the biggest thing since Michael Jackson. Now, in 2022, Drake and 21 Savage were gearing up to release Her Loss, and this was one of the most engaging yet controversial album rollouts, as they faked an interview with radio host Howard Stern and also created a fake Vogue magazine cover and was sued for $4 million or a percentage of their album sales. Now, Vogue magazine and the parent company alleged that Drake and 21 Savage fooled the public with the counterfeit cover to promote their chart-topping album. Now, when it comes to hip-hop, there are very few magazines that hold any weight, such as The Source and XXL, and those were decades ago. So if anything, Drake was doing them a favor by unintentionally promoting their high and bougie magazine brands to his youthful audience. Of course, Drake and 21 Savage reached a settlement outside of court for an undisclosed value, because who want to go against the current golden child of pop and hip-hop? Mr. H to the Izzo, Jay-Z, better known as Ho, became a staple in hip-hop at the late age 30. Now, truly speaking, nobody thought that his former drug dealer from Marcy Projects would run New York City's rap scene for a decade and make billions. Now, Rockefeller Records was formed in 1994 with Dame Dash, Jay-Z, and Greenberg independently releasing Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt, and Reasonable Doubt sold millions. In music, we have RIAA certifications. When you sell 1 million records, you go platinum. When you sell 10 million records, you go diamond. So at any performance or public appearance, Jay would throw up the rock hand sign which symbolized a diamond. However, the signature hand sign that established Jay-Z as a Rockefeller star would land him in court over stealing the symbol. In 2005, wrestler Diamond Dallas would have filed a lawsuit claiming Jay-Z stole the signature symbol he used before he knocked out his opponent. Now let's be real. Hip-hop is real and wrestling is fake, and more people associate the diamond hand symbol with Jay-Z and Rockefeller, and sometimes the Illuminati. With that being said, Jay-Z and his team simply ignored him, and it was clear that he was simply looking for a coincidental money grab. And after 2 years, both parties settled this out of court, and in 2018, Jay-Z filed exclusive rights to the famous hand sign. Turning our attention to Lil Wayne, the Cash Money turned Young Money superstar, Lil Wayne sued Birdman, the label owner of Cash Money, for $52 million because of unpaid royalties and refusing to release the Carter 5 album. Birdman, aka Stunna, pretty much raised Lil Wayne and was his father figure because Wayne's father died when he was really young. And Birdman signed Wayne to the label when he was 12 years old, and he's been signed with Cash Money and affiliated ever since. Now this lawsuit was mainly filed because Stunna was blocking the release of Carter 5, which was supposed to release in late 2014. I'm a prisoner and so is my creativity. And again, I'm truly sorry. I don't blame you if you're fed up with waiting for me and this album, but thank you. Birdman has always been a very shrewd businessman, and Cash Money was originally independent. They partnered with Universal Music Group in 1998 for a $30 million distribution deal with the 80-20 split, which was simply unheard of, copying Master P's blueprint. Now, Birdman and Cash Money pushed the boundary to get 80% of the revenue, leaving the label with 20%, and still retaining 100% of their masters. I say this to say that Birdman is known for his take no prisoners approach to deal with business. He owns the partial publishing for Wayne, Drake, and Nicki Minaj, who, if we're being honest, is hip-hop's biggest three for the last 10 to 15 years, so he will forever be paid. Now, despite Wayne and Birdman having some issues for 4 years, they agreed on a settlement in June of 2018, and just like the old days, they're cool and back on good terms. Future, aka Hendrix, will become the 2010s voice of trap rap. Now Future would originally be signed to A1 Recordings and breach his contract with A1 by signing a side deal with Epic Records to get more money and distro funding. Originally in 2011, Future landed a 6-album deal with the Atlanta rapper Rocco, who owned A1, who basically gave him the original deal. But after this backdoor deal was made with Epic, Rocco said he wanted 25% of the Epic Records advance and also 20% of Future's 2015 DS2 album earnings. Now, as a real street nigga, Future was very surprised that Rocky would take him to court, and after fired shots towards him on social media, insinuating that Rocky was moving like a bitter baby mother because he wanted to leave the label, and he took him to court as if this was child support and questioning how he felt when he signed the papers. It turns out that according to Future, him and Rocky never had an exclusive deal, and Future actually countersued him for not giving him any budget money for his albums, which is why he signed a backdoor album deal. They say money is the root of all evil, but that isn't entirely true. What's true is people will exploit you or capitalize off your hard work if it benefits them. Whether you're clowning your favorite rival rapper for his fugazi past, impersonating a big-time magazine, or scamming local artists on the rise, nobody is above the law, and eventually everybody will be held accountable.